What potential game modes could we see in Dragon Ball Game Project Z? Not only that, but is that a good thing for the franchise or a bad thing? Stay tuned.
I am Prince Vegeta. Kneel before your god.
What's good, YouTube? Andre here with the DM Network. Y'all, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. It's completely free, doesn't cost you anything at all, and it helps us to continue doing what we enjoy doing and making content. So, talking about game modes, because we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it was something along the lines that, you know, people wanted adventure mode or something to be able to create a character. My issue with that was that creating a character, I don't care how you slice it, it's going to change the narrative of the entire story. And they're promoting this game as being nostalgic and things like that. Now, we also talked about the potential way that it can go as far as having the story mode, single player story mode, and then having more of an adventure mode similar to Ultimate Tenkaichi. Guys, this would please everybody. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world where everybody is pleased. There are Xenoverse games out. There's Dragon Ball Online, Dragon Ball Fusions, there's Dragon Ball Heroes, Super Dragon Ball Heroes. There are games out right now that has created a character and has those what if scenarios that are way different than the original story. So for them to come out, which would be the first game on current gen consoles that actually sticks to the story, this would be the first game of that. So let us have that. You know what I'm saying? You got your Xenoverse, you're gonna get Xenoverse 3. It would be crazy for them not to make Xenoverse 3 simply based off of the success that Xenoverse had. Xenoverse 1 and 2 had. They both got better and better. So Xenoverse 3 would be exponentially better. Now, the reason I don't see it working out like Ultimate Tenkaichi, which would please everybody, and having the story mode, single player RPG, open world, open sandbox, free roam, whatever, and then having an adventure mode where you create a character and go through the whole parallel universe type thing, is because it's going to take away from both sides of the game. So if you're playing adventure mode, there's going to be a lot left to be desired as far as content, as well as the single player mode. And I know what you're going to say. We're on the PlayStation 4. Ultimate Tenkaichi was PlayStation 3. It should be a lot better. It should be a lot easier. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Yes, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One X's and PCs are more powerful than they were back then. However, it's 2019. We want the fullest game possible. Nobody wants a game that you're going to play and you're going to run out of content. That's not good. That's not fun. It doesn't help them from a business standpoint to conform to the longevity. They need longevity. That's why Xenoverse 2 has been coming out with these DLC packs, these patch updates. They're stretching it out. Why? Because they're giving themselves more time for the production of Xenoverse 3 so that they can make a better game, essentially, you know. And that's why it's important to have a one direction game in a sense, you know. You can't, it's not good to have that Ultimate Tenkaichi model where you have the story mode and then you have adventure mode, you know. We need one or the other, and we know for sure that they're going to be telling the original story of Z. And it, like I said, they talked about it being nostalgic for people like myself who've been around a long time, as well as an introductory to people who are new to Dragon Ball and who want to get a little bit of backdrop of Z and wasn't around to be able to play games like Budokai Tenkaichi, Infinite World, and games like that, Rage and Blast. Because believe it or not, you can't go into the PlayStation Store and buy those games. Most of those games were made by Atari, which, hey, they're no longer in the game in a sense. Bandai's over it. So in order for them to even put those games back out, seeing that Bandai owns the license, Bandai would have to strike some deal with Atari that would cost them money that Atari's wanting, that Bandai's probably not trying to pay. It's just a lot of legal things that goes on there that costs more than what it's worth. Because while it would be awesome to have those games in the PlayStation Store to be able to buy them, in order for that to happen, we would have to have a significant number of people that are willing to pay for those games. And I personally think there are, but that's just because I want those games. Now, I think having a single player game is awesome. I think that even for the people who want to create a character, if they go all out in single player mode, that it will be really good. Now, some people who have played One Piece World Seeker are saying, you know, they really don't want to see the game in that format and things like that. One Piece is a bit different, and the crowd for Dragon Ball is an extremely demanding crowd, and that can make or break Bandai Namco, because it's just something that they really have to work on, something that they really have to pay attention to. They cannot lax with this game. And in the trailer, them advertising it, you know, them talking about Xenoverse 2, and then they're talking about Dragon Ball Fighters, and then it's 2019, you know, Dragon Ball Game Project Z. You know, they are telling us that this is going to be a major game, and seeing as that we haven't heard anything screams that even more, because that means, hey, we got to get all of this stuff out the way. Marketing for all of these games, which in my opinion, Super Dragon Ball Heroes is going to be the last major title that they market. Then it's going to be on to this game. They're going to devote all hands on deck for this game, and marketing is going to be really huge. This tells me that this is going to be a really big game. This isn't going to be something small. This is something really big. This is a very big project that more than likely they plan on supporting for a while, which also lets me know that there's going to be DLC. There may be a season pass. It's not going to be like a God of War game where you just got the game and that's it. Because even CyberConnect 2 had DLC with Naruto and things like that. This game is going to be bigger than we think. I think it's going to go beyond the Frieza saga. I think it's going to go all the way to the Buu saga. I'm hoping there's hundreds of hours of playing time. Side missions, quests, things like that. I know it doesn't say adventure RPG, it says action RPG, but Dragon Ball is an adventure in and of itself, especially with the Dragon Ball, so I can't wait to see how they implement those as well. But if there is an adventure mode, it can be pretty cool. Now, my issue with that is, what is the story going to be? Because when these Dragon Ball games have deviated from the original anime, the stories have been lackluster at best. Now, Super Dragon Ball Heroes, or Dragon Ball Heroes, Dragon Ball Online, the whole story with Tora and Mira is a very good story. Xenoverse didn't fulfill that. You see what I'm saying? They only kind of gave us bits and pieces of it without introducing it. And if you didn't know the background of Dragon Ball Online and stuff like that, then you would kind of be lost as to what's really going on with that game or with that story. And then now they introduce Buu into the game. And people are like, who is this? You know, so you have to go do research and this and that. It's just a lot going on right there without a core element of telling people this is where it started from. And I think that's a big reason why they're going back to the basics. Because, y'all, let's be real, there's a new generation of Dragon Ball fans. And to have a game for them to play that kind of explains everything that's going on in Super up to that point and things like that, I really do like that, and I really do enjoy that. I know people are saying they tired of playing the same old story, but it's an anime game. Anytime you have a game that's based off the anime, based off of a set story, that's what you're gonna get. It's just like if you have a Spider-Man game, a Superman game, a Batman game. Batman, perfect example. You already know the characters, you already know the villains. The story may change, but it's the same thing. Now, looking forward, if this game does well, the sky is the limit, because as far as other content, something that they can really do in adventure mode is explore the other universes. Now, that would deviate from Dragon Ball Z more into Dragon Ball Super, so I don't think that that's going to happen. Now, with them saying that this is a Z game, big question everybody asks is Battle of Gods going to be in that? Is Fukasu no F going to be in that? These movies were made in the Dragon Ball Z. They were titled Dragon Ball Z. And they were fleshed out in Dragon Ball Super. However, like a subscriber pointed out to me, or somebody in the comments, I don't even think there's a subscriber because they kind of was trash talking a little bit. But they made a good point that they said the original story of Z, the original story of Z, Battle of Gods, Fukasu no F, that and those things, while they were labeled Dragon Ball Z for the movie, they were not in the original story of Z. This was something new. Doesn't mean that they can't be DLC, which is very, very likely and hopeful, in my opinion. But yet and still, they're not the original story of Z. But that's fine, because the original story of Z is full of content. I mean, from Raditz all the way to Majin Buu. And from the looks of the cutscenes and stuff, it looks like this game is going to go step by step by step by step by step. Not necessarily episode by episode, because we'll be playing forever, but there's everything that you expect to see, you're gonna see. That's how I feel. The biggest concern, in my opinion, is just the combat system. You know, how in depth will it be? Of course, it's not going to be like a mainstream fighter, but is it going to be like a Xenoverse combat system, or is it going to be like Rage and Blast or Budokai's combat system, or is it going to be simplified like Battle of Z? Go back and look at Battle of Z, even, because Battle of Z, it's not, I mean, the combat kind of open range type thing that kind of lets you know what a modern open combat system would look like, but it is still very clunky because the game didn't do too well. But yet and still, go check out Battle of Z and look at that combat system. That's a very simplified combat system that you would normally see in RPGs. And don't get me wrong, RPGs can be very, very strategic. But as far as the fighting in RPGs generally aren't very strategic. Doesn't mean that they can't make an intricate fighting system. I hope that they do, you know, not in the sense of Fighter Z or Mortal Kombat, Tekken, games like that, but like a Xenoverse style fighting system or Rage and Blast style fighting system, you know, where you can link combos and things like that would be really, really cool, really, really interesting. I can't wait to see. Y'all let me know down in the comment section down below. What do you think about having both modes in the game, or what modes would you like to see in the game? I appreciate y'all for watching. Till next time, peace.